up guys, it's Amelia. Happy Wednesday. So today I thought it would be really fun to crochet another animal from my Avatar crocheting series. So I previously made Appa and then I made Momo. You guys really seem to enjoy those videos and I've had a couple requests for more animals, which I love. Please let me know down below in the comments if there are any animals from Avatar or from anything, any crochet tutorial requests, because I would love to make them. But that being said, I've had a couple requests to make PABU from The Legend of Korra, which is the follow-up series to Avatar. I actually haven't finished the series, so no spoilers in the comments, but it's definitely not living up to Avatar. Without Sokka, I don't really understand what the point is. He's like my favorite character. But today we're gonna make PABU from The Legend of Korra. I'm going to be making up this tutorial. It's completely my own, and I'll just be basing it on photos of PABU from the series and then pictures of animals like a red panda and ferret, which he's kind of based on. So if you've never crocheted before, don't worry, I will show you every single stitch and step along the way on how to make PABU. So let's just go ahead and get started. So the materials you're going to need for this DIY are, of course, scissors and stuffing, and you're also going to need yarn the color PABU. He's kind of a red-orange color. I'm going to use this yarn to make him. You're also going to need white yarn and brown yarn, and I'm also going to be using white felt for his face. You're going to need a crochet hook and a yarn needle, some sewing thread and a sewing needle, plastic amigurumi eyes, which you can find on Amazon, and I'll have similar ones to the ones I'm using linked down below. So the very first thing that you have to do when you're starting crocheting is begin with a slip knot. You go around your fingers, then up and through, hold this loop, then grab the tail and pull tight. Then you can pull on the shorter string to adjust the size of your loop, and you can go ahead and put your hook through, and that is how you begin every single piece of your crocheting. So the first thing that we're going to do is chain. So a chain is simply when you yarn over and then go through the loop that was on your hook. The next stitch that we're going to use is called a single crochet. Go through the stitch. So if you're going through a chain, you're going to go under the top two and over the bottom loop, yarn over and pull it through. Then you'll have two loops on your hook, and then you'll yarn over again and pull through those two loops, and that is simply called a single crochet. Start with your slip knot, chain two. So this is how I begin my crocheting, but a lot of people do something called a magic circle. If you want to do that, if you know how to do that, go ahead and do it, but I like to just start with chaining two stitches and then stitching back into the first chain. After you chain two, we're going to go back into this first chain and we're going to do 6 single crochet stitches all into this one chain. When you're done doing that, go ahead and pull on that tail to kind of cinch up the middle, and then your piece should look like this. So now for row 2, we're going to go back around and we're going to do 2 single crochets into each single crochet we just did. When you're done with the second row, it's going to look something like this. For the third row, we're going to do something that I like to call an increase row. So you're going to stitch 1 single crochet into this first stitch, but then in the next one, we're going to do 2 single crochets. So now we have 3 stitches, and now we're going to repeat that pattern of 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, all the way around until we turn our 12 stitches into 18. After your third row, your piece is going to look like this. Now we're going to do another increase row, and this time we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then 2 single crochets. And we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around until we've turned our 18 stitches into 24. The next row is also going to be an increase row, and we're going to follow our pattern of doing 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then in the fourth stitch you're going to do 2 single crochets. And we're going to do that all the way around until we turn our 24 stitches into 30. Now that we've finished all of our increase rows, I'm going to do something to help keep my place. I put my hook through the last stitch that I did and then pull the little tail through, and this way I can just tell where I stopped my increase rows and I don't lose count of how many rows. So this is the top of the head, and now we're going to do a couple rows to create that height for the head. So we're going to do 2 rows, and it's just going to be 30 stitches all the way around for each row. So after 2 rows of just going all the way around, now we're going to do a decrease row because PABU's head kind of goes out and then goes back in pretty soon. This row is going to be 3 single crochets in a row, and then on the 4th and the 5th we're going to combine them into 1 stitch. You're going to go through, yarn over, go through, yarn over. You'll have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over again and pull through all 3. to combine those 2 stitches into 1, and you're going to repeat that all the way around, so your 30 stitches will go back down to 24. Now your piece should look something like this. Another decrease row, so I'm going to stitch 2 single crochets, and then in the 3rd and 4th we're going to combine those together with a decrease stitch, turning our 24 stitches back into 18. Now the head should look like this, and now we're going to be doing his long neck, so I'm going to go ahead and move my marker from here to here, and now we're just going to be doing stitches all the way around for 6 rows till we get the desired length of his neck. Okay, now it's going to look like this, where this is the head and this is the neck. So to make the body, we're going to start out just like we did with the head with our slip knot, and then we're going to chain 2 and stitch 6 single crochets into the 2nd chain from our hook. When you're done, it's going to look like this, and now you're going to do 2 stitches in each stitch around, so you'll have 12. After the 2nd row, your piece is going to look like this. Now we're going to do our increase row, where we do 1 single crochet in the 1st stitch and then 2 single crochets in the 2nd stitch to turn our 12 stitches into 18. Then your piece is going to look like this, and we're going to do 1 more increase row of single crochet in the 1st stitch, single crochet in the 2nd stitch, and then 2 single crochets in the 3rd stitch to turn our 18 stitches into 24. Then your piece is going to look like this, and so now we're going to start stitching rows of just 1 stitch in each until we get the length we want for the body, and it's going to be about 12 rows. Now we're going to start decreasing and make this end round just like this one. So for this next row, we're going to do 3 single crochets, and then in the 4th and 5th stitch we're going to do a decrease stitch to combine those 2 together, and we're going to go all the way around until we turn our 24 stitches into 18. Next decrease row is going to be 2 single crochets, and then in the 3rd and 4th stitch we're going to do our decrease stitch, so we turn our 18 stitches into 12. Before I go on to my next row, I'm going to go ahead and stuff the body. We're going to do another decrease row, where this time we do 1 single crochet, and then in the next 2 stitches we're going to do our decrease stitch to turn our 18 stitches into 12. And for the very last row, you're just going to keep doing decrease stitches until it closes at the top, and then you're going to tie off your string and be done with the body. And now we're going to start on the legs. So I'm going to use my dark brown yarn for this. Start off with a slip knot and then chain 2. Now I'm going to do 5 single crochet stitches into the 2nd chain from my hook. Then your piece is going to look like this. And now we're going to do 2 stitches in each stitch around and turn our 5 into 10. Then your piece is going to look like this. So now we're going to do 1 row where we just stitch in each stitch all the way around. For the 4th row, it's also going to be 1 stitch in each stitch around, so that's 10 stitches. For this next row, you're going to do a new stitch, and it's called a half double crochet. You yarn over, then go through your stitch, yarn over again, got 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and go through all 3 of them. So we're going to be doing 4 of those stitches, and then stitch the rest of the row in regular single crochets. Now we're just going to do 4 more rows of single crochets. This is what your leg is going to look like, and you're going to make 2 of those for both of his front legs. So the first thing you're going to do is start with your slip knot and then chain 2, and we're going to do 5 stitches into the 2nd chain from our hook. Now we're going to do 2 single crochet stitches in each stitch around to turn our 5 into 10. So for the next 2 rows, we're going to just do 10 stitches in each stitch around so that we raise the height of the leg. For the next row, we're going to do 4 half double crochets in the next 4 stitches and then finish the row off, so the next 6 stitches will be single crochets, and we're doing that to kind of build one side higher to create a curve in the back of his leg. So you're going to do 4 half double crochets, which is yarn over, go through the stitch, yarn over again, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and go through all 3. That's 1 half double crochet. So do 3 more of those, and then 6 single crochets. And then the next row, you're going to do exactly the same thing, 4 half double crochets and then 6 single crochets. For our next row, we're going to alternate stitches. The first one's going to be a single crochet, and the second one is going to be 2 single crochets into that stitch. And we're going to keep doing 1, 2 all the way around to change our 10 stitches into 15. So now your piece is going to look like this. For the next 4 rows, you're just going to do 15 stitches all the way around. For the last row, we're going to do a row that kind of creates a little hump in the front of the leg to create the curve that Pabu's leg have. So this next row is going to be 4 single crochets, 5 half double crochets, and then 6 single crochets. Now we're going to make Pabu's ears. So you're going to start by chaining 6, then skip the last chain that you just did and stitch 5 single crochets back. Then you're gonna chain 1 and turn and stitch 5 stitches across. Next, we're gonna do a decrease stitch, so go through the first stitch and yarn over, and the second stitch and yarn over. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over again and go through all 3. Then 1 single crochet and then another decrease stitch into the next 2 stitches, and that'll turn your 5 stitches across into 3. Then you're gonna chain 1 and turn. Now stitch 3 single crochets across. Chain 1 and turn. Now you're gonna go through all 3 stitches and then yarn over so that you have 4 loops on your hook, and you're just gonna yarn over one more time and pull through all 4 loops to combine those 3 stitches into 1. Now tie off this yarn and switch to white. So start with a slip knot in your white yarn and pull through and do basically any stitch, then do a quick slip stitch to secure it. So now we're just basically gonna stitch single crochets all the way around the outline of the ear. And I like to do more than 1 single crochet in the corners to kind of help round it out. I wove in all the loose ends except for the 2 longest white ones because I'm gonna use those to attach the ears to the head and just make 2 of them for Pabu's ears. To make Pabu's little nose, I chained 2 and then did 6 single crochets into the second chain from my hook. Then I did 2 stitches in each of those stitches to turn the 6 into 12. And then for the third row, I did 9 single crochets, and then for the last 3 stitches I did decrease stitches where I combined 2 stitches into 1. So now we ended up with this little cup shape, and it's going to be Pabu's little nose. For Pabu's eyes, I'm using these plastic eyes that you can find on Amazon, and for his nose I'm using this plastic nose that I also found a couple dupes on Amazon for. So for the nose, I'm pushing it into the white piece that we made for his nose, but I'm not putting it in the very center. I'm putting it 1 row above that, just basically in any stitch that you want. And then you're going to turn it around and take the back piece that came with it and snap it on. Now before we stuff the head, I'm going to go ahead and sew the nose onto the face. So place the nose around where you think it will look good and then begin stitching. When you're done, it'll look a little something like this. I'm gonna cut his markings out of felt because I think that'll look best. First step we're gonna do is put in the eyes where I think they should go, but don't put the backs on yet. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. So there's where I think the eyes should go. So I'm gonna trace it out on the white felt on the wrong side with a pen and then cut it out and lay it on. I'm gonna cut it a little bit big just so I leave room to change it. Now that you know your face piece and your eyes will work together, you can put the backs onto the eyes and you can go ahead and stuff the head because I think it will be easier to sew on the white piece when the head is stuffed. When you get it all pinned down, grab your needle and thread and we're gonna start stitching. So how we're gonna stitch this is with something called a whip stitch. So you're gonna come out from the felt, go down through the crocheting and back up through the felt. So now you're just going to start sewing all your pieces together just like I'm showing here. So you can sew the head to the body, then the ears to the head. And if you've never sewed crocheting pieces together before, just be patient and try to get everything to look symmetrical on both sides. So for ears and legs and things like that. For the legs, make sure to pinch the tops closed and sew them shut before attaching them to the side of your body. And I just attached it a little bit higher up and then I would stitch along the edge, and then when I was done with that I would go back towards the middle and secure it a little bit on the inside to make sure it wasn't just flopping around. I wanted it to be secure and I wanted him to be able to stand up. So then after you do that with the front legs, go ahead and do that with the back legs as well. And then all we have left to do is the tail. So to make Pabu's tail, do the same thing we've been doing to start all the pieces. Chain 2 and then do 6 single crochets into the second chain from hook. Then go back and do 2 single crochets in each one of those stitches to make 12. The next 3 rows, just 1 stitch in each around to create the first brown section. Then you're going to switch to orange and do 2 rows of orange stitches. Switch to brown, do 2 rows of brown, and continue that until you have 4 orange sections and 4 brown sections. Then go ahead and stuff the tail, and then I'm going to stitch the top closed with the leftover yarn. I'm gonna put the tail on his little booty. Make sure that the section where you were changing the yarn, where it's kind of messy, goes underneath, and you're just gonna stitch it on. After you sew on the tail, you can kind of mold it to curve around like Pabu's tail, and then we are done. Thank you so much for watching my video on how to make Pabu from Korra. I really hope you enjoyed, and if you did, leave a comment below letting me know. And I would love to know if you get a chance to make Pabu. Let me know in the comments how it goes, or if you have any questions. And I will see you guys next Wednesday for another video. Bye guys!